and I'll be your Chem 1010 lecture instructor, your recitation instructor, and for some of you, I'll be your lab instructor as well. For others, you'll have a different lab instructor. Now, I wanted to go over expectations for the course, how to succeed in the course, and the weekly flow of information in the course. Let's start with expectations. Chem 1010 is a big course. It is a 4-unit course that meets for 3 hours of lecture, an hour of recitation, and 3 hours of lab. So that's 7 hours of course time per week. And in general, you should expect to be in class for all of that scheduled time. In addition, expectations from, or let's say this, hours that students have told me they spend on average outside of class, outside of those 7 hours, are 13 hours per week. That's an average. Some will spend less and some will spend more, and it depends on what grade you want too. But expect to spend about 13 hours outside of class working on either homework, recitation, lab write-ups, studying, lecture outline notes, all of those things. Now, let's see. Let's now talk about how to succeed in the class. So exams, those are going to be the hardest part of the class. Each exam you will get to take 3 times, and will keep your highest attempt, and you'll have approximately 72 hours to do that. And in those 72 hours, I would suggest you take the exam once after studying, see how you did, see what you need to improve on, review your questions that you missed, then take it again, and do the same process, and up your score each time, hopefully. Although each of the questions on the exam is based on a pool of questions, so your questions will be different each time, though in a similar in topic at least. And sometimes, I mean, I guess it's possible that you'll get identical questions because it's randomly pulling from the pool. Fingers crossed for you there. Now, tips for how to succeed. So exams are the hardest points. Homework points, recitation points, Kahoot points, lecture outline points, and lab points are 5 different types of points that you can all get if you ask by working hard and asking questions, forming study groups, getting your questions answered, Googling Khan Academy and watching another video to learn how you can do it, asking your friends, asking me during office hours. Because all of those points are sort of hard work points. And some of and they will be quite hard work, but you can ask enough questions and get them. And the way I structure the class is so that you get all those points, and through the efforts getting them, your exam grades are higher than they would have been otherwise. And so it's sort of a win-win situation if you're willing to put in for the work for the class. That's my hope anyway. I hope that's your experience of the class as well. Now, weekly flow. So I said our class meets on Mondays and Wednesdays. And on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12:15, you'll have, in general, what's called a Kahoot. And to do a Kahoot, you'll need to go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it, and enter your name, then enter a passcode, and then you'll be in an interactive quiz, basically, where we will talk through some of the questions, we'll see how you feel about the material, and in the end, we'll hopefully make sure that you get the material and the questions correct. And they'll be based on, so let's say you have either a Monday or a Wednesday lecture. They'll be based on material from the previous week's lecture outline that you've just turned in. So you'll have done a lecture outline about it, you'll have taken notes, you'll have heard me talk about it, you'll have me work through some examples in the lecture outlines, and then we'll go over it in a Kahoot. Most of the material, and some material is better suited to this kind of interactive quiz than others. Then you'll go and do homework about it, and maybe a lab and some recitation questions. And then that'll all be 1 week, and then the whole process will repeat itself the following week, more or less. Week 1 is always a little different, because week 1 we're trying to get you basically a lot of lecture material under your belt so that we can start discussing things. And week 1 is weird because there's no Monday. So there's no Monday recitation or lab. And so that's kind of weird. But then weeks 2 through 15 are generally pretty consistent, with one more exception, which is sometimes exam weeks, we leave 1 or 2 things out because there's an exam. The goal is that this is you learn a lot, you work hard, but this is an eminently doable class if you have the time. You may or may not have the time. I realize that, especially in this pandemic, you may have a 40-hour job and kids that you have to take care of, or your mother or your mother-in-law, and those, quite honestly, are all more important commitments than this course. But if you have the time, then hopefully you'll learn a lot, you'll get a good grade, and you'll move on and be successful, like I know we all can in this class. Let's see. Labs, yes. So, recitation. Recitation, you'll generally have a set of problems to do, and I will help you during recitation section, and then I'll answer any questions you have. I will give you the problems, and then generally the final answer, and you'll have to do all of the work, and then turn that in as a PDF a day or 2 later, usually, sometimes 3 days. Lab, we'll work through a handout that will demo some of the important lab topics that unfortunately we won't get to do face-to-face. Then you'll turn that in a day or 2 or 3 after we finish that. And again, the whole cycle repeats itself week after week until the end of the semester. There are 3 midterm exams and a final. The final is cumulative. We do drop your lowest homework, your lowest 1 or 2 Kahoots, we'll see, your lowest recitation, and your lowest, we don't drop any of the labs. If your final exam percentage is higher than any one of your midterm exams, that final exam percentage replaces your percentage on that midterm. That's only for one of them. But all of those measures are in response to the fact that things come up during the semester. Things could come up for me too, but I know they'll come up for you, and so we drop one of each of those. And at the end of the semester, it won't be cycled into your grade until I download your grades and then actually do that manually. So you won't know how that affects your grade until the very, very end. But know that it's coming, and know that it helps. And know that I am aware that things come up, and that as much as possible, and remember, there's still a lot of work to do, and you'd have to make up things, but things happen. And we have a lot of responsibilities, and I want you to know that I'm aware of that. And reach out to me via email. My email is millerww, that's MILLERWW, at pgcc.edu. Reach out to me and just give me a heads up about what's going on. Come to office hours if you see something coming up, or you get sick, or you get a couple extra shifts at work, and we'll figure something out as much as possible anyway. No guarantees, especially if it happens over and over again, but things happen, and as much as possible, we take care of each other here. I think that's most of what I had to say. I'm reviewing my notes here. We went over weekly flow. We went over how to succeed. I guess the last thing I'll say is something I'll say over and over again, and that's probably true of a lot of things, but chemistry 1010, chemistry in general, maybe even life, is hard enough when you get all of your questions answered. It is much harder when you don't. They pay me, BGCC pays me to answer your questions, and I take that very seriously. So please come to an office hour. Even if your question is, I don't know where to start on this problem, I don't know what this page of the lecture outline means at all, can we just start from scratch? And we'll take our time. When you come to office hours, if you're the only one there, of course you have my full attention. If there's two people, I'll do one question from you and one question from the next person, and then I'll come back to you, and hopefully you'll have some time to work out the answer yourself between while I'm helping other students. So yeah, I think that's all. I'm excited to be teaching this class. I realize it's a bit different because it's entirely online, but we will do our best and we'll make it work. All right, see you in class.